Hello and welcome to another episode of our podcast. I'm Mansa from Smartbots, and today we have the privilege of hosting Gagan Josan. With over 16 years of experience in the SaaS industry, Gagan has made significant contributions from co-founding Nitio Learn to leading sales team at Whatfix. His journey reflects a deep understanding of the evolving SaaS landscape, making him a valuable source of insights for our discussion today. Gagan, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure, Mansa. Thanks.
Gagan, before we dive into our discussion, could you provide our audience with a brief introduction and share key moments from your journey in SaaS industry so far?
Yeah, sure. I actually started my career as a software engineer. This was 25 years back, actually, and went on working in a corporate job or across three corporate jobs for about 17 years. This was across Nokia Networks, then Infinera, then Amazon. A bulk of the time I was doing software product management, leading product portfolios across these companies. And then in 2015, I jumped out of my job to start Nitio Learn, which was a SaaS platform. At that point of time, I wanted to sell software which would help improve teaching quality in schools. Tried doing that for some time and failed miserably at it, pivoted to corporate learning. And basically, Nitio Learn evolved into a learning management system for companies with high operational training needs, which are basically e-commerce companies, retail chains. So these were our key customers. So ran the company till 2021. That's when we sold the company to Whatfix. So Whatfix, as the listeners might already know, is a fast-growing SaaS startup from Bangalore. So they are a digital adoption platform. And after selling the company there, I was there for 1.5 years, leading some sales teams, selling into both Europe and US markets. Left Whatfix earlier this year and just on the journey to explore what I'm going to do next.
Thank you for sharing a glimpse of your impressive journey so far, Gagan. Now, moving on to our first topic. Generative AI has been making waves, offering transformative experiences for businesses. In your opinion, how has this technology influenced organizations, leading them to adopt it?
I would say we are still quite early, and this is a phase where there is a lot of promise that generative AI is showing, but it's not at a phase where adoption is happening right now. I would say this is an experimentation phase. Almost everyone who's involved in tech, any company who's involved in tech, is doing that experimentation. And I think at this point of time, the CTOs, the CIOs, they are being quite circumspect about how they approach this. They are getting budgets on figuring out what they can do with AI, but then they are not jumping into headfirst into what exactly they will actually do. So they are doing experiments along with uh, inside the company and also with the right kind of partner organizations, trying to figure what are the right kind of use cases which would help them serve their customers better. So I think it's that phase as of now. I wouldn't call it adoption yet. It is still experimentation. But yes, I think a lot of promise, and everyone is convinced that this is the next thing.
Now, let's explore the broader landscape of AI adoption. As we navigate through the landscape of AI, particularly generative AI, where do you believe we currently stand in the hype cycle? Are we still in the early stages of excitement, or have we entered a phase of more, practical adoption?
Yeah, so if we just see the terminology which is used, let's say in a Gartner hype cycle, I would say that we are actually climbing down from the peak of inflated expectations. So the first peak, which is basically everyone thinks this is a great thing and the expectations are inflated. I think that part is over, and now we are, going down that peak. I think everyone is still quite convinced that this is going to be very useful. They still have a lot of expectations. So I don't know what the trough of the mismatched expectations would be, how that would look. But right now, I think people are they are moving from, let's say, just believing that this has great potential and having certain theoretical expectations to actually figuring out what are the actual use cases and actual benefits which it can provide. Because the fact of the matter, where I think everyone is kind of trying is realizing right now, is that in order for AI to be impactful, the accuracy does matter in most of the use cases. And actually that journey from, let's say, 85-90% accuracy to 95, 98, 99% accuracy is not so simple and easy. So that's what I think everyone is kind of realizing, that we are probably, it's going to take time, and it's not that it's going to be useful everywhere immediately. So people are paring down their expectations and actually getting practically into how can we fit this into our roadmaps.
Considering your expertise, Gagan, how does generative AI influence overall business strategy? And more specifically, what tangible benefits can organizations expect in terms of operational efficiency and customer engagement?
Yeah, so I think there is an expectation now for from the customers that you should have some story around Gen AI, right? It is, you should have done some thinking around it. You should be able to answer the question of what do you think AI is going to do in your space, or what are you planning to do with AI. But at the same time, I think this needs to be thought through, right? It's just not from a business strategy point of view, it's not that okay, there is a product and you just plaster some kind of a chatbot customer interface on top of it, just to which gives some kind of a Gen AI impression, and say that yeah, this is, we have already incorporated generative AI, where it doesn't actually add value to what the product was already doing, right? So, and in order to what you just asked, right, which is basically increase the operational efficiency or customer engagement, it's extremely important that this has to be thought from the point of view that what should it do alongside your product so that it provides a higher value to the customer, right? So the which are those use cases which it can serve better than what the product in its current form is doing. And last but not the least, what are the ways in which you can monetize that value? So this is another key part of business strategy which is still very raw and very early. I mean, there is not yet a clear idea on what the pricing models will be. It might not turn out to be the per seat pricing model which has been quite popular in SaaS in general. So how this evolves and how can you actually monetize that value which you are providing is going to be another key part of evolving business strategies.
Insightful. And as we look forward, Gagan, what emerging trends or technologies within the AI space do you foresee having the most significant impact on SaaS sales and marketing, especially in the near future?
Yeah, so SaaS sales and marketing, I think, and as you and the listeners would already, they are aware that the tech stack for SaaS sales and marketing is already overcrowded, right? There are a huge number of tools which are getting used, which the sales and marketing teams have deployed, and some of them have been valuable, and some of them are being questioned, right? Now, with Gen AI, what's happening is the biggest impact obviously is Gen AI is changing how the users interact with data, right? Now, if we look at typical, let's say, your marketing tools or sales tools, then they are quite workflow heavy, right? You have to do a few workflows here and there in order to derive some benefit, either within an application or even across applications to do perform the work which a certain role is supposed to perform, right? And these workflows, I believe, will get transformed, or they might get eliminated even within an application or even across applications, right? Because the way we are now interacting using Gen AI, or we are supposed to interact in future using Gen AI, those workflows should not be needed or will be minimized. So here there are then two parts to the equation. One is the entire data, which could be data which the CRM possesses, or it could be data which your let's say call recording systems possess, or your marketing leads, your content data, right? All of that data is one part, but then the other part is how do customers access that data. Now, what the key point there would be, what would be the interface to the use for the users to access all of these data in a consistent way, right? It cannot be that Gen AI has to be separately used for a CRM system and separately for for your email automation system and so on. Somehow there has to be a cohesion around these in order to bring in meaningful value. And that is another question, and this could give a likely push to the sales and martech tools to open their data access, and for companies to basically build some Gen AI based interfaces on top of it. So that's how I think it's going to evolve, not a from a generic direction point of view, and not a very specific prediction.
And thanks for sharing the foresight and future of AI in SaaS sales and marketing. And also, it's essential for businesses to anticipate these trends. Now, moving to our final topic. Given your experience, what advice would you offer regarding crafting persuasive sales and marketing messaging, particularly in the context of AI solutions?
I think nothing much changes for that. The problem is us thinking that our sales and marketing messages have to change significantly just because there is something called AI which is coming into picture, right? AI is a tool, and that is a tool which we have to use in order to deliver value to the customers. So it has to be weaved into your overall value proposition and how it solves the key problems of the customer, right? So as long as we are sticking with what are the problems which the customers care about and the value which we provide to them, I think AI is a tool to do that in a better way, possibly in a faster way or a more efficient way. And it can then, obviously you can command better value if you are doing that. So I would say it, the sales and marketing messages have to be thought about just the way they were always, in terms of the problems and the value statements. And AI happens to be a part of the solution which delivers that value. So don't rush to kind of just include AI as a buzzword into your message. Work with your customers, understand with them what are the key things which they would want solved using Gen AI, or understand their problems even better so that you know how you can apply Gen AI to those use cases. And the messages will just emerge, and typical sales and marketing messages, the best ones, mention technology, including AI.
It needs to be more personalized, and I think it depends upon which channel it has been communicated. Great insights, Gagan. Crafting persuasive messaging is crucial, and especially in the dynamic field of AI. Now, your advice on this matter is undoubtedly valuable. Thank you for sharing your expertise today, and thank you for being on podcast.
Thanks, Mansa, for having me.
Thank you once again, Gagan. And to our audience, we hope you found today's discussion valuable. Stay tuned for more insightful conversations on the intersection of technology and business. This is Mansa from Smartboards signing off. Until next time.